Hi, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of NLL Lacrosse Talk. I'm Gary Groob, and with me is my special guest, Brady Kearnan. Brady, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. And our first question we ask everybody is, how did you get started in lacrosse?
Pretty simple. Like, my brother picked up a stick in the backyard he found from my dad, and he kind of started screwing around in the backyard, and ever since then, kind of picked up from him. And I think I was around 2 or 3 at the time, so it's been quite a long time now.
Right. What kept you in the game?
Honestly, like at the start, I think like any kid, it's like an activity their kids kind of throw them into. And then as it progressed, like not only did I love the game, obviously, I think within the lacrosse community, you have to. But again, like it's the connections along the way. Like I met some really cool people. Have the pleasure of going down to the States to play and met like my best friends there. And that goes for the same for every team.
Right. What are your earliest memories of who had the most impact on you and your development?
Like my brother for sure. I think, growing up, like as him as the older brother, like he's kind of got to take all the falls where he's got to like really learn the hard lessons, and then kind of gets conveyed to me in a different manner. So I think again, like growing up, he's the reason why I got into the sport. And then again, like he's even now, like when we talk about games and stuff like that, like we'll go over film together. He's been a great mentor along the way, and it's definitely been the most impactful.
Right. Like most of us, you were a hockey player as well, and actually was on track for hockey as your career. What changed all that?
Well, so hockey, like I said, is was something that I really loved. It was everything, like I said, that I wanted to do. But again, like I kind of made the decision later on, like while we were going to junior camps and stuff like that. I remember going to a field with a bucket of balls, and I was just shooting the ball. Probably, I don't know how many shots. I'm gonna guesstimate probably 250, 500 balls, whatever. And I just remember like I could have stayed there for 6, 7 hours and not get bored. Like I could do the same repetition of reps for that amount of time and not get bored. And I remember that night, the reason why I didn't stay longer at the field was because I had practice for hockey, and I just was like, oh, I really don't want to go. And it had nothing to do with playing or not loving the game. It was just one of those things where the hockey grind from a young age really gets to you. Like it again, like when you're playing AAA, like it's like a full-time job. Like you're on the ice, 5, 6, 7 times a week, and in between then you have your dry land training and got to be at the rink an hour and a half before and all this stuff. And there's so many eyes on you, especially once you start getting up to like, obviously your draft eligibility, and then you got to make your decisions about junior stuff like that. And lacrosse, it just seemed like just not the word's not easier, but it just, again, like I think it's definitely changing, but like the eyes aren't as much on you. It's just like it's just so just for the love of the game. Like as everyone knows, like it's not like it's the biggest lucrative sport, and so the guys who are in it who continue to play, they play just for passion, right? So
Yeah, you can't hide the passion that's in the lacrosse community with all you guys. Absolutely, you can't fake that. I want to talk a bit about your number and the number of 96 and how we got to number 96. It's a great story when I heard it the first time around. Talk about it, and it just shows you how close you are with your brother.
Yeah, so funny enough, like all my numbers have kind of been like for him and in a weird way. So like when we were growing up, we both had number 10, and it was just simple, just because we were on both teams, and I guess that's the number we settled on. Then when I went to Gales, it was 20 because I was 2 times better than him. It was always like a running joke. And then when I got to college, he was number 92 and I was 93. And I just, again, same joke, like one better. And then I've kind of settled on number 96. It's the year he was born. And but he's got I'm sure, like I said, he'll talk more about his number, and I'll let him do that. But both of our numbers are are very superstitious to ourselves, and 96 has been the one for me. And again, like it's the year of his birth, so it just so happens to work out that way. And again, like I said, he's been a great mentor along my way. So yeah, I'm very proud to wear it.
Right. Now, let's talk a bit about junior lacrosse. And you're with the Gaels organization. You're with the Clarington Shamrocks in 2016 in C. You moved out to the Gaels in 16 and 17 in junior B. Let's talk about the organization in its own right now. Of course, you're in as a coach now, so you've got a really great perspective of the entire organization. But let's come in as you coming in as a kid out of Clarington, out of Curtis, and coming into the Gaels organization. And what was that all about?
Yeah, so for the Gaels, like they're like the rock stars of Clarington, right? Like when you're a kid growing up playing lacrosse here in Clarington, like they are like looked at as if they're professional athletes. Like you always go to games, you always went to the playoff games, you always just want to get a fist bump by them, like everything like that. So going into it, it's again like they have the motto of family, honor, pride, tradition. And that's represented very well to this day, and that's with alumni and current players. So when I was going in as a junior player, that was like my main goal. Like it was everything for me to play for the Gaels in the first year again. Like unfortunately I got cut, but I look back at it and I talk about it now. And it like I said, I think it sucks to say, but again, I think they made the right decision, right? Like at the time, like you don't really understand the time commitment, I would say, of junior lacrosse, and you don't really understand the maturity it does take to play junior lacrosse. And I think it took that year and that saying no to playing junior C. And first off, junior C was great, had a great team, obviously got to win the championship. It was awesome. But again, like the ultimate goal was junior B for me. And then obviously move up the ladder from there. Like you just kind of want a taste. So now going into it, like I said, it's culture wise is everything. Like it's a pretty cult following, especially especially even now, like when you're driving in Durham region, you see Gaels stickers, you see Gaels like signs everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Every business is a proud sponsor, right? So like everyone, it's a very tight knit community, and we represent ourselves well within the community, but as an organization as a whole, we're very tight knit, and it's really translated well, one, to my maturity as a person, but as well to my maturity on the floor.
Right. Now, you spent a couple of years with the Gaels, and in comes junior A, and of course you have to move on, and you spend it with the Beaches. Now you're with another storied organization. I'm kind of sorry Frank isn't here, because Frank did the play-by-play way back when they were still outdoors in the old catwalks. And a funny story is Paul St. John, of course, of the ALL. Yeah. He played down there, and he used to try and peg them off on the catwalk. And he didn't know Frank or whatever. And when they met it, here we have the apologies, and it was hilarious. But way back when Frank was doing the play-by-play for Rogers for the Beaches, talk about going into the Beaches and that organization, and now you're coming in as a newbie, and you have to reestablish yourself.
Yeah, I think within lacrosse, you kind of get used to, and you should get used to it early on, of being not necessarily being on the move, but having to go in and with a fresh mentality and into a new group again within the NLL. Each year, the team changes. In junior, the team changes. Right, guys graduate, guys move on. With regards to the Beach, like Clem Durazio and Clarkey, they obviously were coaching there, and I got a call from Clem, and he said, "Hey, just come out and try out." And I said, "Okay." Like, so the try was in like December. Mm-hmm. And Six Nations, which for junior B, like you don't like now they're like the Gaels do Christmas runs, but there was never tryouts, right? So this was like an actual thing for them to get up and running early, because then you do your training camp and stuff like that. Again, like the end goal for me in junior was to always play junior A, and just like every kid to win a Minto Cup. Unfortunately, that wasn't something I was able to do. But again, like going into the Beaches, again, they really turned that whole culture around. Like I knew that the Beaches weren't the best junior A team going into it, but the way that our team that was chosen went into it was like we could do something. Like we can definitely be a team in this league that people have to look out for. And so really Clem and Clarkey put that into us early on. So again, like I didn't really feel like an outsider going into junior A. Like, the team was great. We had a great leadership group with Nick Ellerton and Mitch Gustafson and Jackson Nishimura and Marcus Minicello, and they were excellent. Like I said, they brought the team together right away. And again, the coaches were excellent. So again, it was a pretty easy transition. I never felt like I was an outsider. I never felt like I didn't belong. It was just, again, like we're here to play and we're here to compete, and that was more so what it was about.
Right. You head into college. You start off actually at Newbury College, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about the program, coaches, and why Newbury.
So for anyone who doesn't know, I have a very lengthy recruiting story. So originally I was committed to Canisius, and Coach Randy Mearns moved to St. Bonaventure, so I followed him there. So then in comes my commitment to St. Bonaventure, and then I got reached out to by High Point. So I was originally going to High Point. Now looking back at it, I do, like I said, I didn't have the grades getting to High Point, and that was just, again, that's like a maturity thing. It just didn't really apply myself, and something I kicked myself in the ass about. But obviously, I'm grateful for everything that has happened in my career. But so I just remember like sitting like on my bed, and I was like I'm not going to college. Like I burned my opportunity. Like D1 was it, and then I got a text from Nick Cotter. And he said like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, got your number. Like, we just started a program at Newbury. We're going into our second year. Like, hey, like, do you want to do this? And so I committed there, like sight unseen. I had no idea what was going on. I had didn't even know where it was. I'm like Googling Newbury, and nothing's coming up. Like there's nothing. I'm like, all right, like, well, I'm like looking on the map. I'm like, okay, well, it's close to USC, which in reality it's about a 45-minute drive. And so I just kind of got picked up. Luckily, like I said, he took a chance on me, and again, like it wasn't. My grades weren't the best, but I could get into school. I just didn't add my fifth English with the clearinghouse. So that's what got me for D1, but I was able to get into D2. And I went to Newbury, and like I remember getting dropped off there for my parents, and I just remember like how hot it was. Like I couldn't believe how hot it was. And I would say an hour and a half into it, saw a snake, which I didn't appreciate. Saw big spiders, which I didn't like, and then I saw cockroaches. I'm like, this is a wild place. And and it was the second year of the program, and Nick Carr, obviously, if you look at obviously the track record, Newbury has done a great thing, and it was just something that it just wasn't for me. I just, like I said, I had nothing to do with the group. I still talk to a lot of the guys now, and haven't spoken to Nick Cotter in a while, but again, I hope he's doing well, and it looks like obviously the program's in good hands. So I moved on from there.
Right. So you transferred over to Mercy, and what a career you had there. Two-time USILA All-American, first-team All-American in 2022. Let's talk about the move to Mercy and, of course, the program and coaches and the rest of that.
So also Mercy was like another thing that like I went sight unseen. So when I left Newbury, I was like, all right, we're going D1. Here we go. Like this is the time. And that's like a big motivating factor for me. I was like, all right, we're gonna go D1. So I remember I was talking to Towson and a couple other schools, and kind of sent them like my transcripts, and they're like, hey, like you're eligible to play lacrosse, but like you have to sit out a year. So I was like, all right, well, if I go play D1, I'm gonna have to sit out a year for and wait to get my grades up above a 3.0, because you have to transfer above a 3.0, and I think I had like a 2.6 or something like that. Nothing to write home about, obviously. So like I just was kind of sitting there. I was like, all right, like we're back in this position. I'm not going to go to school. Here we go. And I get called from, actually, I was at a game, my very first time getting called up for the Redmond, for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. And I get called up, and I'm in the shower, and I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's Ryan McSpadden, who's now the head coach. And he's also a great friend of mine. And he taps me on the shoulder. He goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, what about Mercy? I said, what the fuck is Mercy? So I go home and I get a call from Coach Jordan Levine, and so he calls me. He goes like, "Hey, like what are you doing? Like, here we go. You want to come here?" I said, "Sure." So I went with my mom. I got dropped off 2 days before classes started because that's when I committed. Get dropped off. Never seen the school. I like he set me up in a house. He set me up in this house. I'm like thinking, oh yeah, college house. Here we go. I'm with the men's soccer team, all of which are different nationalities. So two of them were from Germany. My roommate was from Sweden. One was from Colombia, Argentina, Venezuela, and the other one was from like the Bronx or no, Queens.
Right.
So it was just like I didn't know any of these guys. They're all great. Like they're all a bunch of beauties, but yeah, going to Mercy like to start, it was tough. Like it was again, I had no idea what was going on, and new team, like I said, new environment, completely different state compared to obviously South Carolina, different culture, different food, different like everything was different. And transitioning into there, like lacrosse wise, like they were just good to start. Like it was awesome getting to play that because again, I still talk to them. All my best friends there, I love them to death. And at Mercy, again, this is no slant to Mercy, but again, like we didn't get a lot of stuff at Mercy. Like if you're looking for a bunch of team gear, like that's not the place for you.
Right.
And so Jordan Levine knew that, our coach, and he really instilled in us kind of a blue collar mentality. And he always used to make this joke that we're budget conscious, relationship driven, and good communicators. And that's what he would say before every speech. And it was just like a running joke, but it really fired us up. Like it was, again, like at Mercy, like the team and getting to actually play the game is pretty much all you had. Like you weren't getting fancy stuff,
Right.
and that's all we had, and that's all we needed. Like I said, it's definitely something that's taught me a lot of lessons. One and two, again, like lacrosse wise, like when you go in there, kind of a chip, blue collar chip, like we're really like we don't need much to perform. Like we'll play you on a grass mud field, and we'll play you in the rain, snow, whatever it is. Like it didn't matter to us, and that was something that, like I said, I take to this day.
Right. Now, you had a lot of success there. The team did too. Three straight ECC championships, NCAA appearance, first ever appearance in a national championship game. So you guys really did work well together.
Yeah, I think I still kick myself in the ass about the national championship game. I think anyone in that position would.
Mhm.
But again, like, we had such a good group of guys and such a good leadership and culture. Like I said, like prior to me being the captain, like Mercy wasn't always like where it was, and especially before I came there, like they weren't really hunting for national championships. They definitely made the tournament. Don't get me wrong, but it was just a depth thing. I think it was just like Coach Levine consistently building to get that roster. And like we had great players like my roommate Jack Kipnis was a long pole, great. Jack Gibbons was an All-American midfielder who was my roommate as well. Love him to death. Like I said, Dom Scourge was great. Like we had a lot of really good pieces. And the best part about Mercy, and it kind of worked in our favor, which is it is unfortunate for the guys who lost technically a year to COVID. And we came back and we got kicked out of the NCAA tournament because all of us got popped for COVID.
Right.
But it was one of those things where like again, like we got to play with each other for so long. Like we knew everything about each other. And again, when we brought like our coach was great about his selections and transfers. Like we had Sean Maycar, we had Eccles come in, and they were excellent pieces. Like we were a pretty like deep team. And again, like we had the privilege of going far and going to the tournament every year that I was there. Obviously winning the ECC was great. And again, going to national championship to this day was like obviously, yeah, I look back and all I think about is, well, what if we won? But again, like what an experience that was, and the fact that I got to experience it, one at a small school, but two, which is the most importantly, got to experience it with the people I wanted to experience it with,
Right.
and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Now you talked about COVID, and of course, when the world shut down, how did you keep yourself active, and how did the team keep active?
Yeah, COVID was really weird. So we started off like doing these pods. So we had these like workout pods, and I came back from lockdown, going to be very blunt with you, didn't keep active at all. Like much like I was just playing Xbox with the boys, and that's all that we were doing, right? And which is also something. It's a maturity thing, right? Like you got to keep going,
Right.
especially if you want a long career. But it was just, again, it was like, well, nothing to do, might as well play Xbox. So when I got back to campus, we had to do these workout pods, and we had to wear like these, obviously the masks, but we had these like Under Armour masks that
Mm-hmm.
like you couldn't breathe out of, and they had like the air restrictor and stuff. And I remember like the first practice, like I show up, and like he asked us to be there in like full sweatsuits, and it was like it had to have been 100 degrees on the turf. And I remember just like going and doing one set of the ladder for foot ability or agility. Sorry, I remember just like seeing stars, and I'm like, oh, this is horrible. So like we did the pods, and then we were able to open up to some practices. And again, like we were practicing with masks on, and we were practicing like when we had to practice in like a field house, we would practice with like half the team would be on one half of the field, their team would be on that other half of the field, and very rarely did we cross over. The only time that we did do crossover stuff was like quick transition drills, because I think, again, love Jordy. Like I think he was under the impression that if we kept moving, then the air would circulate and no one would get COVID. So again, like it was weird. Like it definitely a strange time to play, because again, like we like some guys had like their mask was like this,
Mm-hmm.
obviously in field, and they would have like like the COVID mask over and hooked into their chin straps, and it was, like I said, it was a crazy time. And but we got through it. Like I said, it definitely sucked, and the like we didn't get together as a team. Like it was a tough year for the freshmen, because we didn't get together. Like again, like there was no parties. We couldn't throw parties. Like we
Sure.
couldn't get together in large groups. Like only the people that you live with were the people that you got to hang out with. So it was tough. Of course, again, like we definitely did sneak around, try our best, but again, like getting together and building a culture that year definitely was a challenge.
Right. All right, let's move on a little bit. We're going to the NLL. You get drafted by Georgia, 20th overall in 2022. What was told you by Eddie Como or anybody from the organization when they first were going to draft you?
So Georgia does their drafts a little bit uniquely. So you'll get a call when you're on their list. That's like, I don't know how many months out. It's probably 2 or 3 months out from the draft, from the owner John and GM John Arlotta.
Right.
And he's got his own sort of way of drafting and picking up who he wants and the pieces on the team. So he called me, and he was like, hey, like you're on our radar. And I just remember like playing that year of summer ball, like, all right, like I know I'm gonna go somewhere where like what position in the draft is like obviously the golden question.
Right.
So I didn't really know where I was going. So when I was at the draft, I just remember seeing Georgia, like they drafted Dauber, which great pickup, and I love him
Mm-hmm.
to death. And I just remember then they traded their 11th pick, so I to the 20th, and I was sitting there. I was like, "Ooh, okay, like I don't think I'm going. Like I'm not in the first round." And I just remember hearing my name for Georgia, and I was like, obviously super exciting, super late, like super relieving feeling.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any conversations with Eddie beforehand. What I did have probably a week and a half later, though, was I
Mm-hmm.
was sitting on the couch and I got a call from an unknown number, and I was like, I answered the phone like, hello, and he's like, hey, and I was on the phone. I was like, hey, who's this? He goes, Eddie Cuomo, like head coach this morning. I'm like, sit up. I'm like, hey, Coach Cuomo, like, how's it going? I was like, hey, like it's great to be whatever. He goes like, yeah, all right, like, hey, like send me your email and like everything, and like we gotta get some stuff going, and then obviously you get added into the team chats and whatnot. With that. But yeah, it was like it was super like like John Alata is like he obviously does a great job with what he does, and like I said, that was pretty much the only kind of conversation I had. And then at the draft, I talked to who was it? It was Arlette. No, I talked to Chai. So Chai came up to me and congratulated me, and that was great.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, the question I like to ask is your first training camp. Was it what you expected?
No, it sucked. Like it sucked. So I had a horrible training camp because the first weekend, like like you come in and you're trying to gauge, like you can't really train for lacrosse. As silly as that sounds, like you can stay in shape and you can work out, but like that 30 seconds of like constant running on offense and then like doing all those drills, like they're very specific. So again, like you can be in shape and more prepared, obviously. But again, like it takes a while to build up. But the swarm like went at it right away, and I would imagine most teams do.
Mhm.
But like I said, it was like pretty quick, like how fast everything was. I remember going to set a pick, and it was on Colsey, and I go and set a pick on him, lack of, because I remember I went up and he kind of spun around me, and I was sitting there like in a pick position, but when you're setting a pick with your stick, it looks like you're playing defense, right? So
Right.
he leaves, and now I'm just staring at my other teammate with the ball, and I'm like playing defense on him, but I'm on offense, and both D guys are behind me. I'm like, oh, okay, like this is going to be a learning gap. Like definitely is someone that you got to get used to the speed, and yeah, and then I like I said, it was tough because I got to play the first scrimmage, and then I pulled my what's it called, my hip. So I
Right.
pulled my hip and like could barely walk for the rest of training camp, and luckily they took a chance on me. So like I said, I shouldn't say it sucked. It was definitely just like I said, it was pretty intense. Like it was like I said, it was nothing that you're gonna expect.
Mhm.
But again, like I'm on the floor and I get a pass from Lyle Thompson. I'm like, this is pretty cool.
Right.
So
Right. So that's what I wanted to hit now next is some of the great players that are there. You really had a chance to learn from, the Thompsons, the Brian Coles, all these guys there, and able to pick their brains. How beneficial was it to you to be able to have that at your fingertips?
yeah, I think again, like I look back and I think I think I wish I definitely poked their brain a little bit more because again, like when you're on a team, like again with those players, like yeah, like you learn on the floor, but like if you're sitting at like a team function, you don't want to be talking to lacrosse, right? You want to get to know them.
Hmm.
But again, like on the floor, getting to watch what they do and when they do it is like it's so second nature to them that it kind of makes you like wonder like, all right, like when am I going to do this kind of thing, like and that's the thing that sets them apart, right? And a great mentor of mine and obviously friend has been obviously Brian Cole, and
Hmm.
as well as Shane Jackson. They've been great. Like I said, I still talk to them to this day. They're great dudes, and like I said, getting to watch what they do is incredible. And now I have the opportunity to play with Teeter, and like he's in like getting to watch what he does is so ridiculous. Like the way he shoots the ball is so deceptive, and it's so like a light shot, but it's going in. And the way he moves with the ball on his stick and sees the floor, and the way he's able to kind of move himself off ball, like, and same thing obviously with Lyle and Shane and all those guys I got to play with, like the stuff that you get to see on the floor as a player is definitely like incredible because once you understand what they're doing, it's obviously a lot harder to do it, right? Like as a fan, I don't think a
Hmm.
lot of the fans understand, like, yeah, they see these great plays they make, but they don't see a lot of like the little stuff that they do that make them so good.
Right.
But it's been awesome. Like I said, it was an awesome experience, right? Lacrosse has been great, especially for the right getting to learn and getting the opportunity to play with some really good players.
Right. Now you mentioned Teeter, of course, and um, Curtis Conley was on the show, and one of the things that he said was he loved coming out early to practice and to warm ups, not to get out on the floor, but to sit on the bench and watch Teeter hit the corner 50 times in a row, and just be mesmerized on what he did as a shooter. You're now with Ottawa. Talk about getting in there, and now you're working with Teet and all the rest of these guys.
Yeah, so I think with Ottawa, especially the left side, like obviously you got right the best player in the world, and it's learning how to make. Again, he's going to be effective with whoever he plays with. He's that good, but
Mhm.
it's about learning about his tendencies and also obviously learning with the other guys. To speak more about like how he is again like the way he shoots the ball is so second nature. Like it's the same release. It can come out this exact same way at the same height, and it can go four different corners. Right. It's such an impressive thing, and he's been a great leader. Obviously, he's the captain of Ottawa. He was great. Obviously, helped me out quite a bit. And like I said, getting the chance to again whether I got in or not or played a whole bunch this year, like I would do it all again just to be able to watch him, right? Because again, like you learn so much. Again, he's the way he's so calm with the ball, the way he's so calm within an offense, it kind of
Mhm.
really makes you at ease, not only as a player, right, but as a teammate, right? When you get to watch, you're like obviously the best player, but again, your captain be so calm at all times is really important. So it's been great.
Right. When you didn't get a chance to have a training camp with Ottawa because you got picked up in the beginning of January,
Yeah.
was it difficult to get in there? Was Rich Lisk when he first got a hold of you? What was told to you, and what was where you're going to fit in?
Yeah, well, again, like it's when I got the call, I unfortunately got dropped from Georgia, and just like I said, just be very candid about that, and obviously no bad blood, nothing like that. It's
Mhm.
business, right? Again, and when I got the call from Rich, I was elated because again, like I was it's one thing to be in the league, right? But once you're out of it, it's really hard to get back in. So it's one of
Right.
those things where it's like Christ, like, am I even going to have a chance again? And so when I got the call, I was excited. And again, he just wanted me to come in there and play my game and learn with the guys and mature as a player. And I think, like I said, I think I definitely did that. I think, again, I think the hope was for me to be in, and I do believe that to this day. But at the same time, is like I said, it's decisions get made, and obviously, like they brought in like Eric Fennell, and again, he did a great job, set great picks, and great teammate as well. Riley O'Connor got back healthy from a broken hand. He's a great leader, great player.
Mhm.
Larson Sundown, great player, great teammate. So again, it was just one of those things that like it's early on in my career, and again, I'm not the first to have this happen to, and I'm not going to be the last. It's just lacrosse, right? So it's one of those things with the business where you got to really stick with it. And again, just stay positive. And again, like I looked at it in this whole year with Ottawa as an opportunity. Of course, it's an opportunity. Don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
again, the opportunity to learn from these guys is great. And again, like I haven't mentioned it, but I mean, I got to play one game this year with Ottawa, and I'm super grateful for it. Obviously, if I could play in every game, I absolutely don't get me wrong. I would say I would do it again, but
Sure.
um, again, like getting the opportunity to play with my brother
Mhm.
and playing with Jeff T, like that's something that like for me and my brother personally, like that's been our goal since we were kids to be on the same NLL team and play a game together. And it, like I said, it was incredible. And like I said, my goal is to be in the league for a long time and to keep getting better. And that's all, and keep being a positive teammate. And that's all it's really been about. So look forward to obviously this coming year and what's to come.
Right. Let's talk a little bit more about that and your brother being on the team as well. And when you joined on, it must have been just an elation at the household that well, number one, we're only cheering for one team now, but number two, you never really had the sibling rivalry. You're more looking out for one another, and now you're there, and he's has the ability to look out for you a little bit more and kind of have your back no matter what.
Yeah, he's always been like that. Like since we were growing up, we were always really, really tightly woven. So when I got the call from Ottawa, like he was my first call. I'm like, hey, like we're teammates, and he was super happy. I was super happy. Again, it was super exciting, a great moment for our family as well. My mom and dad were super happy, and again, like I've learned from him for so long, and I know this is going to sound crazy to obviously maybe not crazy, but again, like when I was playing on Georgia, like again, like he was watching every game. I'd watch every game he'd play in. After
Mhm.
the game, we after every game we always text or call each other no matter what. And so like after Georgia games, like he was calling me, he was like, "Hey, like what were you seeing out there? Like I think you could have done this better and stuff like that, right?" So now that you get the opportunity, to obviously do it in person with him,
Yeah.
it is great. And again, like he's been a great mentor my whole life. And it, with Ottawa as well, like right when I got on, like they're obviously like you got to get up to speed. Like they got like there's plays that you have to know, there's sets that you have to know, there's formations you have to know, tendencies of players. So I remember like the day after I got signed, like we were on like an hour Zoom call, and he was going over plays and our sets and stuff like that. He goes, when this happens, you got to do this. So yeah, it's been great. Like I said, he's been an excellent mentor, and again, like I wouldn't trade anything to play with him for the world. So.
Right. Now, you have a unique responsibility too, being on the practice squad, and that is that you have to be more than ready at the drop of a hat. Somebody goes down in practice, somebody goes down in warm-ups. you got to be ready to get in there. So you have to be mentally tough, maybe even more mentally tough than if you're in the lineup. How do you deal with that?
So I think when it comes to practice roster and especially guys getting scratched, I think they're roughly in the same ballpark. The only difference is that obviously you get to travel as a team. But I think when you're in that position, it's so easy to get negative, right? It's so easy to overthink your position on the team. And it's so easy to nitpick how you play. It's so easy to nitpick, everything that goes on. And I think again, you just got to be a positive guy, right? Like you got to, if you're going out there every day with the mindset that you're going to do something to help the team, whether it's in practice, whether it's sending, a congratulations to the team on the win, whether it's you're going there and getting scratched, doing anything to be positive. And again, you are a part of the team. You got to remember that things take time, right? So for me, it was never anything that was it never really bothered me too much. Like I said, I had a great support system. Obviously, my brothers on the team. The team was great. The coaches were very forthcoming. Were excellent. Were excellent communicators. Like I said, the team was. Like I said, Luke Magden sent me a nice text after practice, and I remember that meant a lot, right? It's just the little stuff. So again, you just got to be positive. You got to help the team, and again, whether you're helping the team on the floor, physically in the game or at practice, everyone's there for a common goal, and that's for obviously to win games and to be better as a group.
Right. Now, during your off time from them, you went with the ALL, and I'm the media guy there, so I know the league very well. Talk about the importance of that league for guys who are on practice squads, for guys who are trying to make it. And I always love it is that with the same rules, with the NLL style coaching, that it teaches a lot of the guys how to become pros and stay pros. Am I far off?
Yeah, I think with the ALL, it's obviously a great feeder system. I think again, having there's no such thing as having bad lacrosse, right? Any lacrosse is good lacrosse. So I think for that to be in place is obviously is a great opportunity. One, for guys who are aspiring for the NLL, but two, for guys who just want to play, right? It's very important. I also think that the ALL, right, should get a little bit more recognition in the sense that, right, it's definitely a players' league. The players are in there and they're just playing for the love of it and playing to keep their stick in their hand. And I think when you're in the ALL, especially and you're in the feeder system of the NLL, you gotta prepare as if it's an NLL game. And I know it's not the same, and I understand that, but again, you gotta make sure that you're out there and you're working your bag off. You gotta make sure that you're getting good tendencies. So again, with the ALL, it's a great opportunity to really work on the things that, especially as a practice roster, you got stuff to work on, right? So you might as well be working on it and playing some hard-nosed lacrosse with some guys who want to play, right? So I think that it serves an excellent, it does an excellent job of playing the role that it serves to obviously the NLL. And again, I hope that it just keeps growing. I look actually about the ALL West, and it's I look at the ALL West and and the ALL East. I think hopefully one day it's going to be where the ALL East and the ALL West crosses over somehow and plays each other. But again, I would just love to see it grow, because I think there's a lot of lacrosse players that, again, the NLL is a small league, unfortunately, and there's only so many roster spots. And again, it's something that you got to keep getting the opportunity, and you got to keep working at playing the game if you want to keep playing it, right? Obviously, there's so much talent out there. There's so many guys who want the opportunity. So I think it's important to just stick with it. And ALL is great for that.
Right. It's funny you talk about the the crossover between the West and the East. I've had that conversation with Paul about that as well, of maybe having the Man Cup of ALL down the road, and he's pretty into the idea. So that might very well happen sooner than later.
Yeah,
but it'd be a great thing. But let's move on from there, because some of those games there were just absolutely insane too. I think the semifinal that you lost to Toronto, losing in overtime was just heartbreaking. But Whitby, they were a juggernaut, and I still scratch my head that they weren't in the championship game against Brampton. But it happens.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those games where, like you said, it goes one or the other way, and like I said, that's what overtime's for. And obviously, hats off to Toronto, and I think Brampton won it, right?
Brampton won it, yeah.
Brampton beat Toronto, and again, you got guys there, especially for the playoff game. Like they got NLL caliber dudes out there who just want to play lacrosse, and it's again like it's like I said, it gets up there, especially in the playoffs. Like the lacrosse level definitely elevates. So again, it's just one of those things where, right, one team's got to score and one team doesn't. So,
Right.
like I said, that's really it when it gets to those positions of the game.
Yeah. Now, I had Curtis Ward on a few weeks ago, and we talked about that and talked about that season in that game and the championship game. And yeah, it's exactly what he said too. And he's just on the rise, being a 20-year-old or so. So his future is still way, way in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a bit about Major Series. We're right in the heart of it now. It's been a weird year so far. It's been some absolutely great games. Some strange stuff going on along, but you get to play with Connor again, and I like what Gavin's done over the last couple of years since he's taken over the GM, and bringing back and getting alumni to come back, and bringing that echelon of the team back again for Brooklyn.
I think, yeah, like what's going on in Brooklyn is I think that it's kind of getting away from the model of what the league has turned into. I will just say, again, like you got Six Nations, who a lot of the guys aren't from there. Excellent lacrosse team. No one, I don't think, on planet Earth will say any different. You have Peterborough, who again, they bring guys in. They also have a lot of homegrown talent. I think for Brooklyn, like it's like I said, it's draft picks and local guys, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I think is really trying to be, brought back is one, the pride of it, because again, for people who don't know, is the BLC like huge in the Durham region at one point, right? And I think over the years it's kind of gotten away from it. I think Predator's trying to bring back that sort of sense of pride within the group. And like we got a good group. We got a group that's played together for a little bit now, right? We got a good tight knit group. Like it's not one of those things where you show up in the locker room and you don't really know the guys you're playing with. Like all of us are cracking jokes and we're trying to find time that we can get together and all that stuff. And like I said, it's one of those things where you just got to keep with it. Like I said, obviously there's a lot of good teams in the league and two really heavyweights in the league that are phenomenal lacrosse teams. Like awesome to play against because they're so difficult to play against. And I think as a competitor, that's what you're looking for. And again, like Coburg is on the rise, Brampton's doing well, right? Obviously, we added Owen Sound and then Oakville. Oakville, I think, is in a rebuild, but again, they're going to be okay. Like they're a good organization. I think again, like for Brooklyn, it's just kind of keeping with it and being who we are, and that's being obviously true to one where we're from and sticking with who's in the organization.
Sure. No, with such a great NCAA career, had you ever thought about jumping over to PLL like a lot of the guys have done?
Yeah, I mean, certainly not against it. I think for me though, I don't know. Like, I think for me, I need to get established, and just from lacrosse now, I don't think I'm established within the NLL. And like I've had the opportunity to play games, I've had the opportunity to be on rosters, and it's great. And again, it's excellent opportunities to continuously get better and having the opportunity to be good teammate with some really great people. But again, like with the PLL, I think as well, like you just got to establish yourself prior to it. And I think a lot of the PLL has to do with the branding. And again, I had a great career at Mercy, and I love everything that happened there. But again, like there's a lot of really good players, and the PLL is in a very similar situation to what sort of the NLL is. Only the NLL has more teams, right? The PLL has a lot less teams, and I think their rosters, I think, are around 21, if I'm not mistaken. And again, they have a big player pool, and there's so much talent out there. If I had the opportunity, absolutely, I would want to play. It's definitely crossed my mind. But again, it's just one of those things where if I get the call, absolutely, we're going. But unfortunately, to this day, it hasn't occurred yet. And again, that's just is what it is. And I think once you're established in the NLL, and again, that's my biggest priority. And I'm not going to say no, but again, at the same time, his priority for me is being established as an NLL player, and that's first and foremost. And we'll see what goes on in the future. But yeah,
let's talk a bit about the Rebesky tournament. We both just got back from there not long ago. First of all, your thoughts on the tournament itself. What was the big standout for you?
How many people were there? Like I was like, so I just like when I came back, I was like, listen, like there's a rink, a lacrosse rink in a town, like a small town that's in the middle of a neighborhood. Like there's houses everywhere.
Yep.
Like it's in the middle of the neighborhood. Like you'd think it's like a complex or whatever. It's not. It's a rink with a building, and there's people walking their dogs. There's schools walking around. Like
Yep.
it's insane. And then you show up and you walk into this place, and there's like thousands of people, and there's thousands of people who aren't from Canada or the United States, right? And I think that was a really cool thing for me to see. Is again, like I did a sweater swap with someone from like the Polish national team.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it and it's like I pull the sweater, I'm looking at it, and it's got a logo and none of it's in English. Right. And I think that it was a cool thing. Like I said, I kept saying, and I know I said it to you when I was there, but I'm like, we are literally in Europe right now in a place I've never heard about,
Yep.
and in a country I would never think to go there as a tourist, which
Right.
beautiful country, might I add. Like it's nothing against, but like when you think tourists,
Mm-hmm.
like Italy, blah blah blah, right? And so I'm there, and I'm like, we just got to play against people like Team Finland, like that's who we played against. Like, what a crazy cool experience that was. And so I think it's just really cool to see how far lacrosse is coming. Obviously, it's the tournaments for a great cause, and it's again like I didn't know what lacrosse was even going to be. Like I showed up and I was like, all right, well, maybe it's like, like a fun tournament, like stuff like that. And I show up and I get whacked in the first period. I'm like, what is going on? Like, all right, like we're going. All right. Like it's actual, like, we're going to take this, like, really seriously. And I know that sounds really naive, but it's true. Like it's such a cool place and such a cool, spot. And it's such a great story that I get to say that I was a part of it.
Right. Right. How about the weather?
Yeah, that was So I actually was talking to one of the guys at the Gales, and I'm like, out of curiosity, like he works in insurance, is Nolan Ruddy, and I said
Mm-hmm.
to him, I said, it's raining, it's on a turf field, the games are still going, rain or shine, and I said, what do you think the liability insurance of this place? Like, what do you think it is? And it was kind of a running joke because again, like you would go the one game we played against the Res Dogs, I believe they were called, and you went to scoop a ball up and you could see the water going into your stick.
Yep.
And it was like, okay. And then like loose balls in the corner, you're kind of looking at them like, all right, you got that one, right? So it was really cool. The weather, like I said, was so hit or miss. One day it was freezing rain, and then the next day it was like 20 and sunny. So it was definitely flip flop, and it was cool nonetheless.
Just remember that the next time that they call a game for a couple little sweat spots on the floor, going, "Oh no, can't do it."
Yeah, well,
I've
again,
actually
like I
watched
said,
refs take their helmets off because they couldn't see through their visors because there's so much rain. It's insane.
like I said, it was. I've never played box outside, so well, again, I played box. I've never played box in the rain. That's
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Right.
So,
would you return?
yeah, I would return. I think again, I said to the guys, I said, first things first. If we return as a group, we're getting an Airbnb in Raditon. So we're gonna stay in Prague. But I'm like, we need an Airbnb with washer and dryer.
Yep.
First things first. I said that's what we need. Like everyone chips in, and we'll keep it for the week. I said after every game, we gotta wash your stuff because again, like you're going to get changed in that room, and like you're kind of sitting there, and there's you look up, and there's obviously like people's gits, there's like the Under Armours and stuff like that, just dripping sweat on you, and you're like, holy. So none of your stuff got dry, but again, like it was just one of those things where it was just like go out there and play lacrosse. It was cool, and I definitely return. Like I said, I talk to everyone about it, and I can't talk about it enough. Like it's a cool place to go for sure.
Yeah, that's where we missed Tuna. With Tuna passing, he would take all the gear and find a laundromat in Prague. I knew many a times that I helped him get the Uber to go and take everything and then bring it all out there so you guys would have dry uniforms and that. So he was, you want to talk about one of the best equipment managers I'd ever seen in a league over the years? That was him. So shout out.
I've heard plenty about him while I was over there, and obviously obviously he'll be missed by not only the organization, but everyone else who's come across him. And again, like I said, I've heard everything I got told about, especially from Bergie. Bergie was like Tuna was like the real deal.
Yep.
And yeah, no, it's everyone I talk to, he's surely missed. So
Absolutely. Let's talk about coaching. How did you get involved in coaching? Like you weren't busy enough already.
So in school, I really fell in love with coaching. So there's a program called 845, and shout out to Mikey Shea. I love him. He's an absolute beauty. He started a box program in Pearl River, New York, which is
Right.
across the Tappan Zee Bridge from my school. And he kind of started this thing, and he's like, "Hey, like, he kind of knew I played box. He was like, you want to come help out?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So me and another buddy on our team, and we go there, and we kind of got there at the ground level, and really built it up with him. And obviously, he did a lot more work than us. Like I wish I could convey how much work that guy does. Like he was so passionate about lacrosse, and he was day in day out, constantly working on that brand, and had the opportunity to do that for 2 years of my college career, and then went home. And then I got to coach Queens lacrosse. My brother gave me a call, and he said, "Hey, like, our D coach is actually going away." And I said, "Well, I don't know if you know this, but I ain't played D." And he said, "Well, you're gonna have to figure it out." He goes, "Because again, like, we need a coach, and there's no one else that can do it." And I said, "Okay." So I remember going in there to Queens, and watching all the D film, and doing D stuff, and texting my buddies from school. I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" And I have a very well-rounded mindset about it now. And I humbly say, I know quite a bit, and I definitely had to go through the ups and downs of figuring it out. But again, that's just the way it goes. And again, very privileged to coach the Queens guys. Love them. Obviously, we got the chance to go to Gataway and
Yep.
lost in the finals, and that was awesome. And then obviously going to so how I got into Gales is Shammy actually coached, Matt Chamois coached
Yeah.
sort of refed our game against Queen, or at Queens against Ottawa. And he was like, "Hey, like, what do you think about the Gales?" And I go, "Well, if you need me, give me a call." And I got a text from him. He goes like, "Were you serious?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Like, coaching the Gales, like, what are we talking about? Absolutely, I love to coach the Gales."
Right.
And we got on the call, and yeah, now I'm the Gales coach. And again, like, just coaching in general for me is awesome. I think lacrosse has done a really good job of keeping a lot of in-house people who play lacrosse coaching lacrosse. When I was growing up, it wasn't always like that,
Right.
right? Like, the parent was coaching, and again, they did a great job, and that's just what they had to do. But nowadays, it's a lot of the time it's ex players, it's current players, it's players coming up through the ranks coaching, and giving back to the game, right? That's been the goal of lacrosse. So
Sure.
absolutely love coaching. Wouldn't change anything that I would love. I would give everything up right now to go coach a college team. Like, it's awesome.
Mhm.
Like, getting that opportunity to literally, your job is to coach players, and mentor them, and help them out. It's second to none.
Right. What do you think is easier to coach, field or box?
Now that I know, like, a lot of the D side of the ball, in field lacrosse, I would say field, and I think O side is easier too. Like I said, it's like, there's a lot of hot goalies in field lacrosse, and obviously your shooting has to be pinpoint. Don't get me wrong, but again, like, bigger net, there's a lot more chance for squeakers to go in. Like,
Mhm.
good teams get beat because of good shooting, right? And
Right.
and like, on the D side of the ball, it's a lot of the time it's just organization, right? So it's making sure that your slides are in place when you get beat on ball or anything like that. So it's a big communication and organization. It's almost like chess, right? And I think, box cross is like a boxing match, right? It goes one of two ways. So I think box across is a little bit more volatile. You don't know what could happen. Obviously, we just played a game yesterday, and again, hats off to Newmarket, and we tied them. And again, that's something where it's like the ball just would not go in the net. Their goalie played phenomenal. We got all of our looks, but the ball just wouldn't go in. It was just one of those games where that you can't really predict that. And as a coach, it's frustrating because you're looking at stuff, and it's like, well, we're getting everything we want, right? And this ball's not going. And field lacrosse, right, where you get an open look, more oftentimes than not, like it will go in, right? The net has so much more surface area. So
Right.
I think field lacrosse is a little bit easier to coach. But box lacrosse is definitely a little bit more fun. Like I said, it's up and down, it's fast paced. So
Right. Do you think expansion is on the horizon? I know we just lost Panther City, but that was to logistics. There are so many guys like yourself that they're deserving of being in the NLL full time. Do you think that it's about time that they should be looking at increasing? I figure by 2 teams.
Again, I think I'm going to speak for everyone here. I hope so. But at the same time, I think the NLL and lacrosse, and I say this a lot, but like it really is in the best place it has been. I know there's a lot of stuff that happens with teams getting colder, but again, like that's just been something that has been lacrosse, right? Like you got to find the markets, and I think the NLL right now is doing it the smart way, where they're really trying to probe where they're going to go next. So I do think, yes, they do the NLL unboxing, and they do a lot of marketing, and they help out the kids, and they do a lot of clinics, and they're just really trying to build it. And so again, I hope so. I know? Absolutely not. Like I said, something I would like to see. I think that it will be coming in the next 1 to 3 years. I'm going to guess, just
Right.
because of how much traction they've had, not only on social media, but as well building the games in these areas. Like I got to watch my brother play in when the New York Riptide were around in Montreal against Toronto, and it was rocking. Like it was awesome. Now again, like that went a ton of marketing went into that day. Would it be like that day in and day out? Who knows, right? So there's a lot of stuff that are involved with it. That's a really long-winded answer to your question, and short answer is I hope so.
Right. Sure. Do you think the NLL is missing the boat by not reinstating an All-Star game? Now, I realize that it looks like maybe one of those basketball games where it's like 500 points because nobody's going to check anybody. But I thought about it a little bit of a twist and see if I'm on board here. Is you get the champion, hence the Bandits this year, going against the All-Stars of the league. There's something in it for them, and there's something in it for every All-Star in the league. So the game all of a sudden has more meaning. You have ESPN and TSN to showcase the greatest players on the face of the earth playing, so it'll get new eyes on their game if it's on linear TV. And with the skills competition, the PLL has capitalized huge on it and marketed it well. With that same marketing, I think that this could be a winner. What do you think?
So I have a weird thing about All-Star games, because I think everyone does, where the guys need a break. That's as a player, like it is a grind.
Sure.
Like I said, I think the NLL has gone away from the All-Star game, and I don't disagree. Like I said, it's such a condensed season to begin with. I think guys' bodies need a rest, and again, like the NHL doesn't. They play 82 games a season, and I think that's crazy. Same thing with football. Like it's what a physical sport. And funny enough, the way you said that and framed it. So I think about All-Star game, and I thought about it watching the World Games. Was you have the World All-Stars play against the World Champion. And that's what I was thinking. I think in NLL, though, I think right now, especially with it would come down to location of where the All-Star game would be. I think if you put it in Bandit Land, what a rocking place that would be. And also, I think if you were to put a team, it doesn't matter if the team is full of studs. They're great, but again, teamwork beats a lot of talent, right? So you put the Bandits, obviously incredible lacrosse team, 3-time champions back to back to back. You put those guys together against a team, like the other team would need some time. I think that would be needed to establish. But again, what a cool premise. I would definitely watch it.
Right. I would also go so far as to say that the team that won the championship would have the game and let them market it all year round and see what you can get for it. So it wouldn't matter if it's in Bandit Land or somewhere else. If you have 8 months to market it, I think you can actually get a crowd for it too. So
yeah,
just
that would be cool.
Thoughts that are in my head. So
yeah, it would be cool for sure.
One last thing, lacrosse going into the Olympics in 2028. What are your thoughts on sixes?
Ooh, I hate sixes. But at the same time, I hate sixes for the simple fact of I just love box lacrosse and I love field lacrosse.
Right.
I love them both, like separately, of course, but I love them the way they are, like growing up and getting to play the two. And I think now I shouldn't say I hate sixes. the way I look at sixes, it just looks strange to me. I think as well, like a lot of guys don't like the face off, and I personally like the face off. I think it's a specialized position, just
Right.
like a kicker in football is, right? It's a specialized position that nobody else can do. If you put an average guy in there against, Jake Naso or Trevor Baptiste, like you put, skilled guys against them, they're still going to lose for the most part, right? It's a skilled position.
Right.
And I think when you talk about like sixes again, like Canada won it, and it was great to watch, and it's definitely great because it's fast paced. I just think it's just too chaotic. Like, especially like the goalies. Like I look at them, I feel so bad. Like the field's shorter. You see 3 times as more shots from closer range, and they're still not wearing equipment. Like it's
Right.
just, I don't know. Like I said, but there's definitely, like I said, I watched the PLL sixes, and that game against the Atlas and the Cannons, and that was like an awesome game to watch. I watched the Sixes Worlds. It was great to watch. I don't know, like if I I think though if I want to see the lacrosse in the Olympics, I would have really liked to have seen just like field lacrosse or
Right.
box lacrosse. I think it's just more so just because I've grown up like that. But again, like
Sure.
I could be wrong. I just haven't had the chance to play, and I just as a spectator and someone who has played lacrosse all his life, I think it's important. Sorry, my dogs are barking. Uh, I just think that I just would like to see box or field,
Sure.
traditional field
Makes
over it.
sense. I actually had Bob DeMarco, president of World Lacrosse, on the show and asked him the same question of why sixes. And he came up with the answer of in the Olympics, they can only carry 10,000 people for all the sports. And if lacrosse wanted to get in there, there was no way they were going to be able to get 10 teams in and have a field lineup of 24 guys, coaches, trainers, and everything else and hope to get in. So they had to modify kind of like rugby did with rugby sevens to a sixes idea, and as well to have places like African nations and things like that where hockey rinks aren't available
Mm-hmm.
readily, and if there are very few of them.
Yeah.
That they could still do it on a field. They just make it a smaller field and kind of do a mixture of the two to try and get it in. Again, once we get eyes on it, then we can train and then we can show tradition. But it's to get 280 more countries to see it and then watch it go from floor 4 or 5 where it's now to the top floor, I think.
Yeah, I didn't actually. First off, I'm just gonna say, like, I didn't know any of that, especially about the cap of the people at the actual Olympics, and it definitely makes sense, especially the accessibility of the facilities themselves when it comes to lacrosse. And lacrosse is an expensive sport to begin with, so I definitely understand why. And you definitely made a good point, and I think you definitely proved me wrong as well. Like, again, like look, I said it earlier in the podcast about the ALL, and I'll say it about this, like any lacrosse is good lacrosse, right?
Yeah.
Like the more we have exposure, the more the game gets to grow. So again, you definitely changed my mindset of it. I didn't really think of it like that before. Again, I was more so thinking about it in terms of like, just one way or the other. And
Right.
I definitely, again, like it's going to be incredible to watch. Like when are we ever, like we've been waiting our whole lives for this to be in the Olympics, right? It's been something that we've been asking for a long time, and to be quite honest with you, I think it should have happened a long time ago. But at the same time, I think it's also happening at the perfect time because I think lacrosse is definitely growing in popularity. Especially like social media has been a great driver of that, and I can't imagine that the Olympics it's not going to continue to grow. And again, like we just came back, both me and you and a ton of other players from playing in a tournament in Prague with
Mm-hmm.
thousands of people at a sold out venue, right? So again, like it's definitely makes sense, especially with the sixes. And again, I first off, I'm excited to see it, and you definitely have changed my mindset on them.
I appreciate it. So, what's up for Brady through the summer and getting into the fall and training camps coming up the road?
Yeah, so I kind of got a kind of crazy life. Like I said, I work 5 days a week. I play Brooklyn. I go and coach the Gales, both in practice and obviously games, and then I have to worry about my own training as well. And that also juggling social life, right? Like it's kind of one of those sacrifices you got to make. You can't do everything. But yeah, that's my life. Like I said, like this week I on Monday went right from the office to Gales practice, got home at 11. Tuesday went and played a game, got home at 12:30. Wednesday went and played a game, got home at 11. Thursday went and coached the game, got home at 11. and today, like I said, I just get home. So it's one of those things where like you just kind of keep going. Like you can't have everything. And I would, like I said, I said this yesterday. I'm like, I wouldn't want anything else. Like, I just love this game so much, and I'm very privileged that it's in my life.
Right. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time in such a busy schedule of yours to take an hour out for me and for the show. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I'm sure I'm gonna hear some things about from my brother and stuff like that. Maybe I had some slip ups or whatever it is like that. So again, super great to talk to you and to be on the show, and obviously in Prague again. Like, what an awesome time that was, and getting to meet you was a privilege, and also the best time in Prague. Obviously, aside from the lacrosse, was obviously at Bert's there, right? So getting to sing with the team and getting you going too was awesome. And like I said, thank you for having me on, and appreciate it.
Awesome. That's it for this week. I want to thank again Brady Kearnan for taking the time to being with us. Tune in every Thursday at 4 p.m. for our regular show. And until next week, keep your sticks high, keep your spirits higher, and we'll see you then. Until then, take care all.